Hello and welcome to the porch. Today I talk about the Scabrous left. This is the week when I get to watch Tulsi Gabbard and Hillary Clinton tear each other apart. Now, Scabrous is a great word because it deals with covered with scabs, which means that you've had wounds or physical harm to your exterior, and it scabs up. But the secondary meaning is salacious, unclean, kind of in a lustful way. And it goes all the way back to the roughness of the word scabber, which is an old French word. It goes back to the fact that when people used to get syphilis back in the Middle Ages, all they would be able to do is put salts and white mercury and stuff on it, which of course is poisonous and deadly, but they would treat it in this horrific way, Theodoric of York kind of stuff. And to be scabrous just meant that now on the outside, your internal sin, your internal wrongness and filthiness has now become evident to us physically. And that's usually what would happen right before the person would die anyway. If you've read your Canterbury Tales, you know that the summoner is covered with sores. He is scabrous. And lecherous, by the way, as well. So when this word scabrous, what has it got to do with? Not Tulsi Gabbard, Tulsi Scabrous. That's not the tie-in. But when I was thinking about the external sores that the Dems have taken on this week with the infighting betwixt them on certainly social media and now on the political floors of Washington, as Tulsi Gabbard accuses Mrs. Clinton of shanghaiing, of torpedoing and damaging Tulsi's campaign for the Democratic nomination for president, which I think was a pretty dicey, pretty unlikely event to occur anyway. But certainly because my political conservatism matches up closer to her than, say, I don't know, Yang or Clinton or certainly Kamala Harris or some of the other jackass Dems that are befouling the party with putting their hat in the ring. Like Beto O'Rourke is a friggin' joke, But the fact is, that there are a number of people who want to be president and they call themselves Democrats. And now, rather than uniting to fight the evil that is either the buffoonish idiot Donald Trump, who's put in power by the Russians, or the evil genius Donald Trump, who pretends to be stupid, but he's really super smart and evil, and he was elected by the Russians. It's always the chupacabra of the Democrats right now is obviously the Russians. When they have no other argument, they just say the Russians did it. So if I was Flip Wilson and I was doing Geraldine, I'd say the devil made me do it, honey. That's exactly the same. The only thing is, I'm not Flip Wilson. I'm not as funny as Flip Wilson, God rest his soul. And I am not a black man in drag. But if I were, and if I said, the devil made me do it, honey, that would be the exact same friggin' thing that the left has been saying since Hillary got her little ego trip knocked off its pedestal back in 2016. So yeah, Mr. Trump's the president and you hate him. I get it. But he can't be both an idiot and an evil genius. He can't be both. It's impossible. It's categorically, you can't be both. You can't be a square circle, okay, dumbasses? Learn your friggin' geometry, okay? You can't be both. I'm sorry. You either have sides or you're a circle. Pick your shape, okay? So I get that you hate Trump, and I get that you're still pissing and moaning about 16. Somehow you think that pissing and moaning about 2016 is going to get you elected in 2020. But Tulsi Gabbard's infighting right now with Mrs. Clinton has shown the scabs of your own political syphilis all over your body. The licentious, concupiscent, and salacious covert actions of your party, and not just, of course, those words I used could describe anything Bill Clinton has done in his entire pants down around his ankles life, but I'm talking about political STD here. If that word, scabrous, has any tie-in to this, it's that now your scabs are evident. We all see how destroyed this party is. That being said, the Republicans have their scabs, and certainly I'd say probably half of the GOP would much rather not have to say President Trump. Those words are just as accurate in their mouth probably as they are in any Republican, any Democrat that has had to endure these 3 years under Mr. Trump. But That being the case, he's still the president, whether you like him or not. I didn't like Mr. Obama for 8 years, but I still called him President Obama, and I still do. I think he was a terrible president, and I think Mr. Trump's already eclipsed anything he's done. If for no other reason than he put 2 fantastically superb justices on the Supreme Court. Thanks for that, by the way. If nothing else, he did that, so I'm happy. But it is an interesting time to see this happen. We're coming up on this big break for the Washington types. The rest of us have to work through Christmas. But they start to kick it out around early November. And, they might show back up, but they're going to take a nice long 2 months off. Meanwhile, they're tearing each other apart and covering themselves with scabs and sores. It's just kind of classically funny. Anyway, Scabrous. So that is my word to tie in my little commentary on the Tulsi Gabbard Hillary Clinton melee. Those are also great words. Melee. What are some great words for fight? Let's see. Melee, Donnybrook. Let's see. Kerfuffle is a good one. Let's see. Oh, God, there's so many, and I'm blanking out. Anyway, you know what the hell I'm talking about. Well, I'll put a bunch of hashtags into this after I upload it, and I'll add a bunch of words for fighting. I don't know. There's just so many great words for fighting. And I'll be honest. When I see a fight, I have to watch. I don't break fights up. Well, if it's my kids, I do. But if it's strangers, I go, you know what? They're big boys. Let them fight. So while the Dems fight, we'll see what the price of that fist fight is. And when it's done, we'll see when the smoke clears just what happens. I think it's going badly for the left. But then again, I thought it was going badly for the GOP 4 years ago when I was telling everybody that there's no way on God's green earth that Mrs. Clinton can possibly lose to anybody, let alone Trump. And, of course, people were saying that right up until the election. 4 years ago this month, the USA Today polled 68% of the vote, popular vote, will go to Mrs. Clinton. Well, what happened to that poll? You think maybe the polls that we have are slanted? Maybe they have their own predetermined desires to... If there's a scabrousness to our media, maybe it's that the 2016 election finally let those sores come to the surface. Those of us who had questioned the media for 30, 40 years, like my father did his whole life and taught me to be skeptical of the media, 2016 was just our moment to go, I told you so. So, anyway, that's it for this week. And scabrous is a pretty interesting word to use to describe a political party's current status. But I say it's apt for the Dems right now. Anyway, Tulsi, good luck checking over your shoulder because, people who become enemies of Hillary Clinton wind up waking up dead one morning. Be careful, Tulsi. You got a nice long life ahead of you. I'd be careful if I were you, sister. Bye-bye.